Hey girl, I'm so excited because I've been thinking and I want to give you an opportunity to get in on an early Black Friday sale inside of the Training for Life app, before the holiday season officially kicks off next week, or maybe it's already kicked off for you and your inbox explodes with all of the other sales. I know it can be very overwhelming. So I wanted to get this in your earbuds and in your inboxes before that craziness starts. Now, the Training for Life app and the habit-based fitness programming inside is already pretty affordable, but I know I love a good sale. And sometimes that's the sign I need to take action. So after polling my audience, y'all want a free 30-day trial versus a 7-day one. So you can really jump into my intro to progressive overload programming and access the full fitness and habit library, which I am constantly adding to. So that's just what I'm doing. No strings attached. Just go to trainingforlifeapp.com and get that free 30-day trial with the code 30days. That's 30days, no spaces. And y'all also really wanted to gain access to my signature 12-week program, Thrive, as well. So I'm offering $100 off now through the 25th. This is over probably $1,000 worth of fitness programming and bonuses, but you get it for only $97. And you get a habit-based strength training program created with midlife moms in mind. And there's tons of bonuses included with Thrive, like my habit course that has helped hundreds of women make their habits stick, a private podcast feed that I update every season to habit hack challenges I know we face, and even updates to the program 3 times a year. You get lifetime access to all of that and even monthly coaching from me as well if you need some more help and accountability. I love all the ladies in Thrive, and I want to invite you to come join us as well. To go get Thrive for just $97, go to bit.ly/Thrive and Train for Life and use the code Thrive Sale, all one word. Now, this is all linked for you at the bottom of the show notes. Girl, hurry. The sale only goes through the 25th. If this feels like something in your gut that you want to take advantage of, now is the time to do it. I am just so rooting for you, and I'm excited to help you really continue habit hacking your health and, most importantly, training for life. Okay, let's get into the show. Hey girl, do you wish you could make your healthy habits stick, but life keeps getting in the way? Are you tired of diet culture telling you to shrink yourself when you'd rather just find true food freedom, move your body for joy, and feel and look good in your favorite leggings? Then you're in the right place. Think of this as Atomic Habits for women. Hey, I'm Emily Nichols, habit and fitness coach, millennial mom, and Taco Tuesday enthusiast. I'm here to tell you there is an easier way than what we've been taught about health and our habits. How do I know? Because I've gone from former chronic dieter to habit hacker through the power of the system that I'm now going to teach you so you can finally stop dieting and just train for life via your habits. Remember, it's not your fault your healthy habits haven't stuck. We just have to do them differently. Are you ready to habit hack your health? Then let's do this. You're listening to episode 274 of Habit Hack Your Health. Girl, let's talk about cortisol some more, shall we? This is a topic that is just super hot right now, and for good reason. Y'all, we are stressed to the max, and we're feeling it physically in our bodies. But maybe you feel stuck, that's just the way it is, right? You have a stressful life, and hopefully you can find some balance when things slow down. And I'm just telling you now, it's not going to slow down, right? That's not very likely. So you're probably seeing videos on TikTok or Instagram of girls saying, "You're not ugly, you just have cortisol face. Go drink this juice at my TikTok shop or link in my bio and everything will be better." Well, I wish you could just drink a magic potion, take all the supplements, and it will all just go away. Your stress will melt off, your cortisol will be balanced, but unfortunately, that's not true. We need to take a step back and look at the facts and look at our lifestyle habits and how this is affecting our health. And we're going to do that today with our friend and hormone expert, Ali Damron. So, Ali is a wife. She's a boy mom and a hormone expert, licensed acupuncturist, and a certified personal trainer and host of the Ali Damron Show. She has a virtual practice where she helps women all over the world balance their hormones and have better moods, sleep, periods, and energy levels. Yes and amen. We love that, Ali. Now, before we chat with Ali, and you guys, you're going to love this episode because she makes it super simple to understand what cortisol is, how to habit hack your lifestyle to support and balance those levels, not just drinking some magic potion or taking a pill, right? But first, I want to share personally that I just had my own cortisol levels tested. And y'all, I have some high cortisol spikes happening. I won't get full into the details, but I had a feeling this was happening. And I did a saliva test, like I literally spit in a tube 4 different times throughout the day so they could measure my cortisol levels throughout the day. And they could see some of those neurotransmitters were spiking, meaning I was having sleep disturbances. I was having high bouts of stress throughout the day, and it was spiking my cortisol. And I went to my functional doctor to get the results, and it's one of those times where you're hoping they find something. That way you have an answer, right? You have the facts from a professional, and then you can work on some action steps, a plan based on, for me, supplementation paired with stress reducing activities that I'm actually going to share with you. That I am personally implementing to help balance my own cortisol levels at the end of this show. And I hope to be able to update you in the next coming weeks and months on how this is going. So this episode is so timely as well. With the crazy busy holiday season, you're a little extra stressed. You have even more tabs open, but it can really apply to any time of year or any season of life where you might just feel a little out of control. Right? You'll learn from Ali that you can be more in control than you think you are and implement some intentional habits to help you find that control again and take charge of your cortisol health. So get ready to take some notes. Make sure to stick around to the end to hear my biggest takeaways from this conversation and my own cortisol balancing habits that I'll be implementing as well. All right, get your pen and paper handy. Let's go talk with Ali. All right, gang, welcome back to Habit Hack Your Health. I am so excited to talk with our new friend, Ali Damron. Ali, welcome to Habit Hack Your Health. I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I can't wait to chat with you all things cortisol. I know it's a hot topic for my audience and yours as well. But the first question I ask every guest is, what is your favorite habit hack? Like, what is saving your life right now?
So one thing that I love to do is drink electrolytes and about 30 ounces of water for like within the first hour of waking up. I feel like I'd heard that for a really long time and to hydrate, and I got into this really big habit like we do of just drinking coffee, and I would feel like jittery and then kind of foggy and all of these things. And I feel like drinking water with electrolytes is an absolute game changer for energy and brain fog and just kind of like helping your cortisol get that nice response in the morning. And it really is like a life changer.
That's so funny you said that. I've literally been doing that the past couple of months before I drink my coffee. And I was just drinking water, but drinking electrolytes just take it to the next level. So you're not dehydrated even more before you dehydrate more with coffee, right?
Yes, totally. It's a game changer to feel that. And it's hard to like explain how you feel, but I always tell my patients to do it and they're like, I just feel so much better. And I just crave electrolytes now. Like
Yeah.
love
And I don't find
them.
I drink as much coffee either.
I don't either. Yeah, you don't really need it anymore.
No, it's more like the ritual of making the coffee and drinking the
Totally.
coffee for me. Yeah. Okay. We
Yeah.
are on the same page. I love that. Well, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, Ali. Like, what is your story that's led to really what you do and who you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a holistic health practitioner. I'm an acupuncturist. I do a lot of women's health and hormones in my practice. I struggle to say acupuncturist now because I do not practice acupuncture anymore. I do everything virtually, and I have other training into be more of nutrition, exercise, labs, herbs, vitamins, supplements, all of that sort of thing. And so this all started clear back when I was a kid, actually. And I grew up in a little town in Western Nebraska where in the 80s and 90s, where health was like just not, especially preventative health, right? Like not a thing that we discussed. Who knew? I never grew up eating a vegetable in my life, like nothing. And I started to watch, like in my middle school and high school years, some pretty scary health stuff for my grandparents and my parents. And, just started to understand that like health things happen. And, through that experience, I always had this like little seed of like, couldn't there be like something to prevent? I learned all about medicine and, how we could like sort of reactively deal with things. But I always was like, I wonder if we could proactively deal with this. And so fast forward, I went to college, I became a personal trainer. And did that group fitness and personal training for a long time. I worked at extreme weight loss camps and corporate wellness and did a lot of these other jobs in that industry, which I loved. But I started to realize that people were coming with other things, right? So they were coming with health things and they were coming with mindset issues and they were coming with baggage of their life that we all have once we get there. And so I started to just have like this kind of thirst for wanting to help people a little bit more holistically with all of these things. And so I actually went to an acupuncturist in college just to try it. I'd never been exposed to anything holistic or alternative or anything like that in my life. And these people that I saw were the healthiest looking people I've ever seen in my whole life. Like their skin glowed and their bodies were in not like a, perfect body composition way, but like they just had no flaws. They were just like, you take really good care of your body. They took herbs, which was like, oh my gosh, these like natural things. Like I had no idea this existed. They ate food. Like she told me to eat vegetables for breakfast, and I didn't even eat a vegetable any time of the day. I couldn't fathom how you could possibly get a vegetable for breakfast. And so just kind of like opened my eyes to a whole new world, and something that, unfortunately my parents and grandparents didn't have access to or didn't do. And so, that's what kind of got me in. And then fast forward, I got married, had kids, and realized what a gaping gap there was in women's health. I feel like again, we're always behind the eight ball with women, right? Like our teenage daughters are just getting thrown on birth control because they have such terrible periods. And then fertility happens and fertility struggles. And then postpartum happens, and no one's ever told you anything about postpartum healing. You're just expected to bounce back in 6 weeks. And then comes perimenopause and then menopause, and women are dealing with hot flashes and night sweats. And I'm just like, when I got into school and practice in general, I just really realized no one anywhere along the way of our women's health journey has any information and knows what to do. And we're all in the dark. And it's such a long period of time that we deal with hormones in our life, and so impactful for our quality of life and disease prevention. And they impact far more than we think of just fertility and reproduction. And so I just was like super fascinated at finding these ways for women to feel good and thrive and be patient with their families and for themselves and have energy and be able to sleep and not be on the couch for a week a month and not have their life end when they turn 40 years old, like all the things that we think.
That's quite the journey. And I feel like a lot of women can relate because it's so true in the 80s and 90s. Nobody was doing any type of proactive measures to take care of their health. It was just like, oh, here's some cholesterol medicine or some this or that. And you were put on diabetes medications versus, looking at the root cause, looking at lifestyle. And it's so funny when you were talking, Ali, my husband used to have really bad sleep issues. He worked like night shift, second shift. And
Mm,
our doctor just kept prescribing him sleep medications. And finally, I was just being like Dr. Google, trying to find anything that
I
would
know.
work for him because I was like, we're desperate. And what worked for him was acupuncture and Chinese herbs.
Oh,
It
that's amazing.
was a game changer. And we were like, over a year struggling on all of these different medications and weight gain and just like depression from weight gain and not being able to do the things he physically loved to do. And like from there, he's like, oh, and he went off night shift. He slept a lot better from there, became, a marathon runner again. But You're so
Oh,
right.
okay.
Like, we have to be able to feel empowered to look into other means to take care of ourselves and lifestyle, and especially for women, because I don't think we realize, like, I know you're a mom, a boy mom like me, and I'm thinking of my boys going through puberty and all that. And then I'm like, okay, well, like girls go through puberty, then they have pregnancy, then they have postpartum, then they have perimenopause, then they have menopause. And nobody specializes in just women's health and their hormones and all the different things that happen with our bodies, but also factoring in the season of life that we're in when typically these type of things happen with our body, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? So like I just, throughout my entire journey and now I work with women all the time, I have such a soft spot for women in postpartum. I just feel like there's just no information and you're thrown into this massive life change and this human being that needs you to do every single thing for it and you're recovering. And I just think of like, postpartum depression and anxiety and how much all of that could be so much better for maternal health if we had support, education, information, treatment alternatives, all of that stuff. And I think the same thing for women in perimenopause and those, very often intertwine because we're having kids a bit later now. And so, same thing. I think that, in our late 30s, 40s and 50s, like that's also this era of responsibility where we're raising kids and have a lot of pressure. I know you and I have kind of talked about that before. Like the pressure of infancy and toddlers is much different than the pressure of raising middle school and high school kids. Not easier or harder necessarily, but very different. And I just think of, mortgages and marriages and divorces and aging parents and raising kids and careers and businesses and finding yourself and then dealing with, fluctuating hormones. Like it's just a lot to handle.
I hope everyone listening is like, yes, Allie sees me right now, because it can feel like you're alone. Like, I'm 43 and I see a functional medicine practitioner. And thank goodness, because a lot of times I'm like, what the heck is going on? And it's great to have a professional like you to intervene and be like, okay, this is normal. This is maybe not normal, but it's common. Let's work to
Yeah.
find the root cause for you personally. So I know today we specifically want to talk about a very hot topic. We see it all over the internet, and that is cortisol. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. Just like with diet culture, it can be very overwhelming and being like, well, I'll try this or I'll try that, or I'll just order this medication off Amazon because someone said they lost 30 pounds in 3 days or something because they regulated their cortisol. So let's start with the basics. What is cortisol and why is it so important?
Okay, so cortisol is a hormone. It's produced in our adrenal glands, which are two little glands that live right above your kidneys. And cortisol is known as the stress hormone, but it is also part of our circadian rhythm. So when everybody on the internet right now is talking about you got to lower your cortisol and it's causing your weight gain and it's causing your belly fat, we want cortisol. And for those of there's actually a condition that's called Addison's disease where you have adrenal insufficiency and don't make it, you feel miserable on that. And so we want cortisol, but we want it at the right time in the right amount. So what this looks like, and you probably all can resonate with this if I explain it. In the morning when you wake up and you first open your eyes, you might feel a little groggy. Like hopefully you feel well rested, but like not quite up and ready for the day yet. Within about 30 to 60 minutes, we're supposed to have this cortisol awakening response, which is where it goes sky high. And that's the feeling of like, okay, I'm up, I'm ready for the day, I'm clear-headed, I have energy, all of that. And then after that point, right after that, it starts to slowly trickle down throughout the day. We do have a good little afternoon crash of it, and then it sort of like comes over, slowly decreasing through evening hours and nighttime so that we get a good break from cortisol. It gets low, we sleep well, sleep deep, and then the circadian rhythm starts over. Melatonin is also a part of that circadian rhythm. And there's other things too. So in terms of cortisol, that's what we're looking at. So what happens is people have oversimplified this into saying you have high cortisol if you're stressed. Well, based on the circadian rhythm, we could have high cortisol at night or low cortisol at night or high cortisol in the morning or low cortisol in the morning or no cortisol awakening response. Like it doesn't have to be as objective as just high or low. It could be high and low at certain points in the day, right? If you're looking at blue light all night, scrolling your phone, your cortisol is going to come up a bit higher than it should be before bed, probably leading to bad sleep. If you have that massive afternoon crash in the afternoon, you might have lower cortisol at that point in the day. And so when we're testing cortisol, just a side note, it's important to look at it in multiple times during the day so we can see as part of that circadian rhythm where it's at numerous times. So that's kind of what cortisol is. It also is derived from stress. So when our brain is like it's always scanning your environment, right? It's always saying, can she cope with life? Is there anything scary or threatening or, hard happening right now that we might need a little bit more, stress hormone like adrenaline, cortisol, which help to dilate our pupils and increase our blood pressure and steal glucose in case we need to run or fight really hard. All of these physiological changes happen when we're in danger. And so your brain's always looking around for those types of dangers and scary things and threats and catastrophic thoughts and all of these things. And so when it detects that, it's going to produce a little bit more cortisol. So that's when we get this high level of cortisol that everyone talks about. Over time of it constantly being high, you constantly being stressed, your brain constantly being in danger, it's going to have a hard time keeping up with the demands. And it's going to be like, oh my gosh, we're still going with this. We're designed to do this, but also have a big break after we have this stressor. And nowadays in modern society, a lot of us don't get that break. It's just kind of like ongoing stressor after stressor. And so what ends up happening is kind of like this low level of cortisol, which is a step further than high. So that looks like burnout. That looks like you're exhausted, you're dragging yourself to the coffee pot. You have that heaviness, that brain fog, anxiety, your startle reflex is really activated. You feel, overwhelmed. Things that used to not stress you out are really a stressor now. That's what low levels of cortisol looks like.
Goodness. So we could see someone like you to get those measured. And like you said, it's important to look at different times a day. But if someone's listening and they're maybe thinking, maybe my cortisol is imbalanced, what are some signs that we could look for just every day?
Yeah. So cortisol has receptors almost on every cell of our body. So truly we can see it everywhere. And in terms of the testing conversation, I like to ask my patients 50 minutes worth of questions first before I determine like, do we need cortisol testing? Because honestly, some of these are so black and white and so obvious that we don't always have to do it. We're like, your cortisol is definitely high at this point. And so those would be, looking at the circadian rhythm, right? So energy crashes, low energy, feeling really jittery, feeling tired but wired, feeling insomnia, whether it's hard to go to sleep, stay asleep, you feel like you're really tossing and turning all night and restless. You might start to notice like anxiety, OCD, depression, overwhelm, like I mentioned, just non-resiliency to stress. You may start to notice digestive issues. You may start to notice immune issues like you're constantly getting sick or infections, like yeast infections even, or things like that. You may start to feel inflamed, where like your body, your rings are tight, you feel puffy, your face feels puffier than it used to. Your midsection might feel puffier than it used to. Exercise feels hard, right? We used to be able to push it a lot and we're just feeling like we're carrying an extra, weight on our back because it's just hard to muddle through that workout. I would say, I mean, truly like dizziness can be one. There is signs and symptoms head to toe of cortisol issues.
It's funny you say that. I'm recording from my closet because we have a new puppy in our house, which is like a newborn again. So I haven't been getting great sleep this week. And you mentioning inflammation, my wedding ring has been tight this week. And I knew exactly why. I was like, I'm not getting enough sleep. Today I was supposed to have like a heavy lifting day for my legs. And I was like, I'm not going to do that today because I know it's not going to be a quality workout. So can cortisol just be imbalanced for a short period of time, a long period of time? And what are some habits we could maybe implement when we're feeling this way to be like, okay, maybe I need to do ABC to help balance it on my own?
Totally. So this is a really great question and something that I've been talking about a lot lately. So as your point, these things don't just like burnout doesn't happen overnight. Like we get these signs of it, like you've started to feel more tired, you started to realize you're more stressed, you started to feel like your sleep's progressively getting a little worse and worse and worse, like more nights of not great sleep. Obviously you have a puppy, newborns, even adult kids, like kids in general impact sleep. So, sometimes we have to take that into consideration, unfortunately, but look for these signs and symptoms early. And if you're starting to feel these things, like something just doesn't feel right, your energy, your mood, your hunger, your cravings, your sleep, your mood, your digestion, these are all signs to kind of what I say to my patients is like back up in your life, bird's eye view, like, why is this happening? Like, are you overscheduled? Lack of boundaries? Do you have notifications coming at you all day, every day, and not putting your stuff in work mode? Are you stressed out at work? Are you feeling like you have to manage too many people? Are you dealing with aging parents? Are you in a toxic relationship? Financial stress? Like, let's look to see like where this could be coming from. Because so many times I think we are on autopilot in our life and feel like we're, to be honest, a lot of us feel very out of control and very powerless in our situation. It's like we've made our bed, we can't do anything about any of this. And so we start to just not do anything about the symptoms. Honestly, we start to just realize like they're there, but kind of just like hope they'll get better, brush them under the rug a little bit. And they usually continue to get worse and worse until something changes. And so I think it's really, really important to start looking at these things before they get to such a bad spot. And I have been there a few different times in my life, postpartum being one of the times, particularly, but I've had two kids, so probably twice. Where things did get really bad and I just couldn't sleep. I was so anxious, so tired, guzzling coffee, all of those things. And so I think to your point, if you can notice it like today, you didn't do the workout, right? I think if we can start to change some of that, like, hey, I need someone to carpool my kids tonight. I am not going to do it. I'm going to sit and relax. I need somebody to take over dinner duty tonight. I am letting those dishes sit in the sink tonight. I need my kids to pack their water bottle for themselves tonight. I need, husband to take over bedtime. I need the weekend where I'm just going to miss whatever I had committed to. Like it's really important to start there and course correct earlier than later. And I think we do have the power. We just feel like we don't want to say no. We don't want to let people down. We just feel like we can't say no. We have obligations. But honestly, if you got sick right now, if you got COVID, like you would cancel every single thing on your calendar. So it can happen. We just have to make the decision to let it happen or to, give ourselves that compassion.
And I'm so glad you're pointing out like your lifestyle, not just being like, oh, well, there's a magic pill you can take to, lower or balance out your cortisol. And just really being in tune with your body, maybe creating a habit of, just doing like a body check or like a mental wellness check, like once a day, like create a habit loop. So I had someone she's a
Yeah.
pelvic floor expert. Say she's created a habit loop when she walks through a doorway. That's her cue to do a body check to be like, how do I feel in my body right now? And just to be like, I feel really tense. I'm clenching my jaw. Okay, I'm going to relax and hopefully relax everything else in my body. But I think you could do that as like a mental health check too. Even like when your head hits the pillow before just hopefully going to sleep or scrolling your phone, like you said, messing with your cortisol even more. Do like a mental wellness check. Like how was today great? How was today challenging? How can I make tomorrow better? And just like how maybe unhealthy habits can compound, healthier habits can compound and really help defeat what's going on versus like cortisol just taking over and you feeling out of control.
Totally. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I tell my patients to do kind of what you said, just like a check-in, like when you're in bed, we ask our kids or our partners or whoever, like, how was your day? How are things going? And I actually think, people ask me all the time why, like about cortisol and why it's imbalanced. And to your point, there's a lot of like the cortisol drink and the happy juice and the adrenal cocktail. And yes, those things can be helpful. I certainly use herbs in my own practice and supplements and adaptogens. I use electrolytes, I use magnesium. They're all very helpful, but you got to ask why. why did this start? Is this coming from? What aspect of my mindset is my life, whatever, that's contributing to my brain basically feeling really scared? Because when cortisol is dysregulated, that's pretty much what your brain's saying, is that it feels like it's in a burning building, or it's freaked out for some reason, and it's keeping you on high alert or hyper vigilant to get out of like scary situations. So
Mm,
we want our life in general to feel safe most of the time. Not all the time. If you're anxious sometimes, if you're stressed sometimes, perfectly normal and actually a good thing. But we don't want to stay there all the time. And so when people ask me that and they're like, what's the next or what's the next supplement or drink or whatever? Sure. But also, I think repressed emotions are one of the biggest reasons that our nervous system stays imbalanced. We have all sorts of resentment and all sorts of anger and all sorts of grief and sadness and fear and worry that feel massively uncomfortable to feel,
mm.
like so physically uncomfortable, and we feel like it might be societally unacceptable and we shouldn't feel these ways, and we gaslight ourselves out of it, like, gosh, you should be grateful for your kid, or you should be grateful for this life, why do you feel this way? And so we are really, really good at repressing everything that we feel, and that is a message to your brain that these things are so scary and so dangerous that we are unable to feel them, and so it sets that cortisol basically on fire. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm.
oh, there's that anger again. We don't want to feel that. Or there's this grief, or there's this resentment that's really bad. And so that's why a lot of our nervous systems and brains stay so hypervigilant.
And your body's reacting to how you're feeling, right? Sometimes I feel like it manifests in your body so
Yeah.
much, holding on to those repressed feelings. So create a habit of maybe going to therapy or journaling your feelings or talking to someone to get those out. And even like physically writing them down or voicing them to somebody can actually be really freeing and hopefully help maybe a little bit with your cortisol as well. And it really leads back to what we started talking about at the beginning of this conversation, Ali, is being proactive versus reactive. That way it doesn't get to a level where it's bad. And supplements are great. They're called supplements for a reason. They're not a cure-all. They are a supplement to lifestyle habits and taking care of your mental health and your emotional, your spiritual, your physical body, and supplement with some happy juice or whatever floats your boat at the same time. I think that's so important to point out too.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
I'm sure you're hearing it all right now. So, Ali, this was such a great conversation. You make cortisol really simple to understand, which I really appreciate as well. Where can everyone come listen to your show and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a podcast called the Ali Damron Show podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I have a website, Facebook group, and Instagram, all at my name. So very easy to find me anywhere you want to. I have lots of free resources. I'm an open book for questions if you want to DM me. I really just, it's so hard out there right now to figure out what you need. I mean, I get DMs every day about people that are struggling to figure this out and what supplement and what doctor and all these confusing, crazy things. So I really do aim to make holistic health affordable, accessible, simplified. And I think it can be. So I try to just get women where they need to be.
I love that so much. And I love your servant heart for doing this for women. That's just so valuable. And I want to recognize that you're doing that. That's a really important job that you're doing, an important mission that you're on to, Ali. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. We'll make sure to link everything in the show notes so y'all can connect with Ali. But again, girl, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Ali, thank you so much for this conversation and just helping us to realize that we're in control. It doesn't have to be so chaotic, and you deserve to feel your best. And there's not going to be a quick fix for this, ladies. Unfortunately, there's not. I really wish there was because, like I said, my cortisol levels are high as well. But it really starts with my first takeaway, which is life is not going to be perfect. Okay. You don't want to live in stress long term, and you need to recognize the pressures you face now on top of changing hormones. And the pressure you face now is so different from when our kids were itty bitty babies. There's so much more, I feel like, emotional load we're holding with being parents of preteens, middle schoolers, high schoolers, teenagers. Oh my gosh, there's not a manual for this. No matter where you look, you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants and you feel like you're failing a lot of times. Or maybe that's just me, okay? But there's different types of pressure now, right? You've climbed that corporate ladder. You have maybe a team relying on you at work. You have aging parents, then your hormones are fluctuating on top of it. So you're not crazy. It's just your hormones. It's just this season of life. And we need to take a little of the pressure off of ourselves to be so perfect, because this season of life is hard. It is hard. And then with your hormones fluctuating as well, it just adds a whole new level of hard. So it's okay if things aren't perfect. If there's going to be moments of stress, you just can't live there. Okay. Long-term chronic stress is not good for your health, and it's already maybe starting to manifest physically in your body. But getting to the root cause, getting that data, kind of like what I did, measuring my cortisol levels, will give you a game plan on those lifestyle habits to help you balance out your cortisol. Next, my second biggest takeaway with this conversation with Ali is to know your triggers, right? What is triggering all this stress and feelings of anxiousness in your life? Track it, habit hack this and actually track it and be intentional to be like, oh, well, I need to eliminate this, or I need to take away that. For me, I have turned off all notifications on my phone other than email and text messages. And I have unsubscribed from more emails than I can count over this past month, because I am trying to eliminate all of that popcorn brain, like we talked about a couple weeks ago on the show, and just the constant distractions and feeling chaotic. My nervous system is out of control. So for me, that is one of my habit hacks that I did. I eliminated all of the distractions and notifications, right? So, because that was making me feel anxious, and it was not helping me stay on track, and I was feeling a lot of brain fog, like I was just all over the place. So what are your triggers? Figure that out. And then next, implement some lifestyle habits like turning off the triggers. Listen to your body and adapt. If you're going into your luteal phase and into your period, or if you're just feeling really tired, we talked about on the show last week, are you exhausted or just not motivated? Alter your workouts according to that. It's okay. Ask someone to help you. Ask your husband to do the dishes. Go for a walk. It's a really great point that Ali mentioned. Like, if you get really sick, you have to reschedule things. You have to rest. Girl, we are living in a state of chronic stress. You have to treat it the same way. Reschedule the things. Find time to relax, whatever that looks like for you, to help regulate that body. I loved the habit hack of doing like a mental and physical body check, health check, and just that nervous system regulation sometimes I think is something, a point that Ali made I think is really important to point out here, is sometimes we're feeling that emotional stress, that dysregulated nervous system because of emotions we haven't dealt with. Because it's uncomfortable, and we manifest that in our body. It's uncomfortable. So creating a habit of going to therapy. There's a lot of great like online therapists now, because I know you're busy, because I know sometimes you're like, I need to go to therapy, but I don't got time to go. Do it online. Journaling, just get that out of your head, right? Now, if you need some actual like self-care habits, when I said find some time to relax, you're like, oh, what does that mean? I have some tiny self-care habits that you can do. I have a free download for you with simple self-care ideas that you can do every single day. You can check them off and track them, because of course we got to habit hack them as well to help you regulate that nervous system a little bit more for you. So go to bit.ly/freebie self-care checklist. It's linked in the show notes. Go download that as well. So Ali, thank you again for this amazing conversation. Y'all go connect with Ali, learn more about her in the show notes. Go connect with her if you are looking for a hormone expert that can really help you give that data and help you habit hack those lifestyle habits even more. Now, I promised you I was going to be sharing with you the habits I'm going to be implementing to help balance out my cortisol levels. I'll give you an update in the next coming weeks, months, how this is going. It's not a quick fix. This is going to be long term for sure. Now, first, I knew my sleep was an issue. That is why I got my cortisol levels tested. When Ali and I recorded this, like I said, I was in the closet recording because our new puppy, Marshall, was not cooperating during podcast interviews. It was very noisy. So my sleep has been disturbed a lot. But also I get up early to coach live classes at Orange Theory 2 days a week. I was doing that Wednesday and Thursday. Like, you've heard me say this before. I get up at 3:50. 3:50. It's dark 30 in the morning. Like, it's ungodly. No one should be up that hour. My dogs get up with me. They go outside and then they go right back to bed with my husband because they're like, you're crazy, Mom. But I changed my coaching schedule. So instead of coaching every Wednesday and Thursday, I'm doing Monday and Thursday now, hoping, it's only been a couple weeks since I've done this, but I'm hoping not having to get up 2 early mornings in a row will help kind of make a healthier sleep routine for myself. And speaking of sleep routines, I'm going to be placing my phone further away from my bed and getting an actual alarm clock because I find myself scrolling and I set my alarm and I put it right by my bed. I probably will still use it as a backup alarm on those early mornings, but I'm going to set it far away so I'm not tempted to grab it and going to use like an actual alarm clock instead. I'm going to implement reading before bed. I'm thinking about getting a Kindle for Christmas. I had one years ago and I stopped using it. I know they have the Kindle. I think it's Paperwhite or something like that, where it doesn't have like the bright blue light on it. It just has like a dim light around the edges. And it's not the same like really distracting and really overstimulation that happens when you're scrolling, right? Versus reading on a Kindle. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm also going to be implementing red light therapy. So putting red light bulbs in our bedside lamps, or actually just getting like a red light therapy lamp to put near my face. This is supposed to help produce natural melatonin. I've even considered getting an Oura ring to track my sleep, but we'll see where that goes from here. Now, also another thing that I'm going to be doing as far as my lifestyle habits is continuing my daily devotional. My relationship with God is very important to me, and this is a habit I've shared on my quarterly reviews this year that I've been working really hard on because it's one that I've always just been like random. I've been trying to do it 3 times a week, and I've been really consistent with it this year, and I'm so proud of myself for that. And remember, it's okay to say you're proud of yourself, right? And I find myself when I do my devotionals, I just find a sense of peace. I find some peace. I read the 3 verses. I use a devotional from the Daily Grace to help kind of interpret what I just read and how that applies to real life. And I write it out. And I always start writing out a moment of gratitude to God before I dig deep into the devotional as well. And I actually just got a new year-long devotional from the Daily Grace. It's 52 weeks. It's 5 days a week. I'm really excited to see where that takes me and gives me a little more peace. But also my workouts. My workouts are focused on strength training and slowing down on the week leading up to my period. I'm following along with my own workouts in the Training for Life app, which remember, you can go get a free trial, trainingforlifeapp.com. It's linked in the show notes too. I'm actually getting ready to program a luteal phase workout because my girls in Thrive were asking for that because going into that week of your period, like lifting really heavy kind of sucks because you're just like, blah. And we want to have quality workouts. And then lastly, my functional doctor also has me on some supplements to help that cortisol spike not so high when stressors or sleep disturbances happen as well. That might seem like a lot. Those are actually tiny habits that I'm going to be implementing as well. Like we said, again, this is all about your lifestyle. And you are more in control than you think you are if you're intentional. Right? Remember, we're all about training for life here. So that ensures you're not living in a chronic state of stress because that can lead to health problems that are not allowing you to really thrive, my friend. There's going to be seasons of life that are more stressful than others, but really leaning into these lifestyle habits to support the balance of your cortisol levels are going to be so beneficial, not just to your physical health, but also your mental and emotional health as well. So this is a holistic view looking at not just your hormone health, but your lifestyle and emotional, mental, spiritual, all the above factors of health. So again, thank you, Ali, so much for coming on this show. I loved chatting with you. Gang, make sure to go to the show notes and connect with Ali, and I'm so rooting for you, girl. I will catch up with you on the next episode. I am so proud of you for listening to another episode of Habit Hack Your Health. I don't want you to just feel inspired, but I want you to go take action. To help you do that, go grab a free 7-day trial inside of the Training for Life app. This is habit-based fitness programming that you won't find anywhere else. A full fitness library with workouts programmed around what we need as midlife moms, and habit trainings and accountability community to help you stay consistent no matter what season of life that you're in. Go to trainingforlifeapp.com to start your free 7-day trial, and let's start training for life together. I'm so rooting for you, girl. I'll see you in the next episode.